Stefan Cheshlik. I'm the manager of Heritage Conservation Advisory Services for the Historic Resources Management Branch for the Alberta Ministry of Arts, Culture and Status of Women.
I fell in love with old buildings, and particularly masonry, by traveling, seeing other countries, seeing how, you go to Europe or well, pretty much any country. I always found I was drawn towards heritage buildings, and that was those are the iconic buildings.
I'd say so, because without historic buildings, especially with modern architecture and stuff, I feel like it loses a lot of what made Calgary Calgary. So I think that the historical buildings like the old City Hall or even like the St. Stan Grad, just having them there in that older style, it really helps just bring, I guess, the Calgarian pride to life.
Preserving those buildings, designating them, ensuring they're protected and they're here for generations to come, is that they really do embody some of the earliest periods of Calgary's development. They help us to understand how the city developed, why buildings were built in a certain way, why those particular materials were used. They're physical embodiment of the history of the city.
A little bit of knowledge changes the way you look at a building, and if we can, create that interest, it definitely changes how we go about doing this kind of work. The Calgary Public Library was a great example of doing things correct without any compromises. So by doing that, I am still working on that building. We're still doing things that we started in 2018, 19, something like that. Because it takes a long time. It took 100 years to get there. We can't expect to solve the problem in 2 weeks. Sometimes it takes a long time to pull all the impurities out of the stone from years and years of improper use of salts and things like that cause these damages. It takes a long time to kind of back up the clock. We used a lot of lime mortar on that project, hot lime mortar, of various and assorted recipes depending on the condition of the stone that we were using. We used it in combination with the actual dust from the stone. So if I was repairing a stone.
Once the designation is in place, and again, the designation is something that an owner asks for. Right? You ask for your place to be designated, and then you enter into this. It's an agreement, really. It's a legal requirement that the historic resource be conserved in an appropriate way, and that you get approval first. So Section 20 of the Historical Resources Act says that no person shall destroy, disturb, alter, restore, or repair an historic resource without written permission from the minister. So it's a legal requirement. And with that, there are penalties, potential penalties under the Act, a $50,000 fine, or a year in jail, or both.
I'd say so, because a lot of those historic buildings are meeting places for people, and it goes back, hundreds of years in Calgary's case. So yeah, I'd say they're pretty important, just as general gathering spaces, and again, just keeping the community of Calgary alive. Because if we constantly just erase history like that, then we kind of lose sight of ourselves.
When we deal with a modern building, we're looking at a much different system. We've done lots of engineering, and we have lots of education and lots of knowledge behind our new buildings. Yet we build a building so quick, and it's almost like most things in our culture, it's designed to fail. And yet we're still looking at Roman architecture and wondering about it.
Those historic buildings are meeting places for people, and it goes back hundreds of years in Calgary's case. So yeah, I'd say they're pretty important, just as general gathering spaces, and again, just keeping the community of Calgary alive. Because if we constantly just erase history like that, then we kind of lose sight of ourselves, I guess.
And to enhance our sense of place, I think when you have historic neighborhoods, you have historic buildings in your neighborhood, they're a reminder of how important it is to remember the past, and to remember that we are we're only here. We're only here temporarily. You know, we're only trustees for those that come after us.
They've always been there. They're a sense of belonging. You live in Calgary. You've grown up in the neighborhood of, let's use the library. Your grandmother went to that library. You know, you go to that library. Your kids are going to go to that library. Everybody's gone to. You have something in common. Something connects you to all these people that have been and will come. And I think that's really cool. I think there's something about that makes them really important. You know.